Is the Golden State Warriors dynasty officially on life support? Or are we witnessing the calculated chess moves of a front office desperately trying to squeeze one last championship run out of Stephen Curry's prime? Because after watching the Toronto Raptors, yes, the Toronto Raptors absolutely obliterate the Warriors 145-127 on their own home court, the alarm bells aren't just ringing in the Bay Area, they're deafening. This wasn't just a loss, folks. This was a public execution, a brutal reminder that without Jimmy Butler anchoring that defense, Golden State looks more like a lottery team than a legitimate playoff contender. And now, with exactly 14 days until the February 5th trade deadline, General Manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. finds himself in the most pressure-packed situation of his career. The clock is ticking, the window is closing, and the entire basketball world is watching to see if he can pull off a miracle. Owner Joe Lacob has reportedly given Dunleavy the green light to stack future first-round picks like poker chips, which tells you everything you need to know about the urgency level in that front office. They're not just window shopping anymore, they're ready to mortgage the future to save the present. But here's where it gets complicated and frankly frustrating for Warriors fans. The DeMar DeRozan rumors that had been circulating, dead on arrival. According to Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, the Warriors' aspirations are much higher than acquiring a 36-year-old scorer on the decline. Instead, The Athletic reports that Golden State remains laser-focused on New Orleans Pelicans wing Trey Murphy III, a young, dynamic 3-and-D player who perfectly fits their system. The problem? The Pelicans aren't budging. They're holding Murphy and defensive ace Herb Jones like precious jewels, and it's going to take a king's ransom to pry either away. Meanwhile, Jonathan Kuminga, the supposed centerpiece of any major trade package, requested a trade, came back into the fold, and now Coach Steve Kerr is publicly saying everything is fine between them. But we all know what fine means in NBA speak. It's the relationship status you put on social media right before the breakup announcement. Kuminga holds a $24.5 million player option for next season, which complicates his trade value significantly. Teams aren't lining up to take on that uncertainty, especially when his production has been maddeningly inconsistent. So, what realistic moves can Dunleavy actually make before this deadline passes and the Warriors are stuck with what they've got? Let's break down 3 legitimate trade scenarios that could actually happen, starting with the most intriguing: Chicago Bulls point guard Kobe White. Now, before you dismiss this as underwhelming, hear me out. White is making only $12.9 million this season on an expiring contract, which makes the money work beautifully in a Kuminga swap. The Bulls are about to get Josh Giddey back from his 3-week hamstring injury absence, and with A.O. Dosunmu already eating up bigger minutes, Chicago has a legitimate logjam in the backcourt. They need wing depth and developmental upside, exactly what Kuminga theoretically provides. For the Warriors, White gives them a legitimate secondary ball handler who can take pressure off Curry and actually create his own shot. He's averaging career highs across the board this season and has developed into a legitimate scoring threat. Yes, his defense is suspect. He's not winning any all-defensive team honors, but Golden State's system has historically masked defensive limitations when surrounded by the right pieces. The real sweetener in this deal? If the Warriors throw in Butler's expiring contract and a protected first-round pick, they might be able to extract Dosunmu as well. Dosunmu is exactly the type of sturdy, versatile defender who thrives in Steve Kerr's switching schemes, and his slashing ability would add another dimension to Golden State's offense. The Bulls get younger, the Warriors get more dynamic. It's the rare trade that actually makes sense for both sides. But if Dunleavy wants to swing for the fences, there's a much bigger fish swimming in the trade waters: Brooklyn Nets forward Michael Porter Jr. Now, we're talking about a legitimate second scoring option, someone who can take the offensive burden off Curry's aging shoulders. Porter is averaging over 20 points per game and provides the kind of floor spacing, catch-and-shoot excellence that fits Golden State's motion offense like a glove. The catch? This deal would cost multiple first-round picks, both Butler and Kuminga, and the Warriors would be taking on Porter's massive contract, over $40 million next season alone. The Nets are in full asset accumulation mode, stockpiling picks and young talent for their inevitable rebuild. They have enough mix-and-match contracts to make the financial gymnastics work, and frankly, they'd love to add Kuminga's upside to their young core. For Golden State, this is the all-in move, the one that says, we believe Curry has one more championship run left, and we're betting everything on it. Porter's injury history is concerning. He's dealt with back issues throughout his career. But when healthy, he's a legitimate 20-point-per-game scorer who doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective. That's invaluable next to a ball-dominant superstar like Curry. The third scenario involves Miami Heat guard Tyler Herro, but this one only happens if the dominoes fall in a very specific order. Herro is 26 years old, in his prime, and has one more year on his contract at $33 million in 2026 to 27. He's exactly the type of microwave scorer who could thrive in Golden State system, coming off screens and launching threes with reckless confidence. But Miami isn't trading Herro unless they're getting pieces back that help them land Giannis Antetokounmpo in a blockbuster deal with Milwaukee. That's where Kuminga and Golden State's draft picks become valuable, not to Miami directly, but as trade chips the Heat can flip to the Bucks. Butler's connection to Marquette University might create some sentimental value, but coming off an ACL tear with a $50+ million salary next season, that's a tough sell if Milwaukee is truly entering rebuild mode. So, where does this leave the Warriors as we sprint toward the deadline? In a word, desperate. And desperation in the NBA trade market is like blood in the water. Other teams can smell it, and they're circling. Dunleavy's public comments about being willing to do any type of deal and having Lacob's blessing to stack picks sounds empowering, but it also broadcasts weakness. Every opposing GM now knows Golden State is operating from a position of need, not strength, which automatically inflates the asking price for any meaningful acquisition. The harsh reality is that Trey Murphy III, the player they actually want, probably isn't available at any price the Warriors are willing to pay. New Orleans knows they have leverage, and they're not doing Golden State any favors. That 145-127 beatdown by Toronto wasn't just embarrassing, it was a wake-up call that this roster as currently constructed isn't good enough. Not even close. Without Butler's defensive presence, they're a sieve. Without a legitimate second scoring option, they're asking a 38-year-old Curry to carry an offensive load that would challenge players a decade younger. The Kobe White scenario is probably the most realistic, even if it's not the sexiest. It addresses immediate needs without completely mortgaging the future, and it gives the Warriors a legitimate rotation piece who can contribute both now and potentially beyond this season if they choose to re-sign him. The Michael Porter Jr. deal is the high-risk, high-reward gamble that could either extend the dynasty or accelerate its collapse. And the Tyler Herro pathway requires so many external factors to align that it's barely worth serious consideration at this point. What we're witnessing is the final act of a championship core trying to squeeze every last drop of contention out of their window before it slams shut forever. Curry isn't getting younger. Draymond Green's best days are behind him, and the young players they've drafted haven't developed into the stars they hoped. Dunleavy has 14 days to save the season, and possibly save his job. The pressure is immense, the options are limited, and the stakes couldn't be higher. So, here's what I need from you right now. Drop a comment below and tell me which trade you'd make if you were running the Warriors. Are you going safe with Kobe White? Swinging for the fences with Michael Porter Jr.? Or do you think Dunleavy should stand pat and ride with what they've got? And if you're as obsessed with these trade deadline scenarios as I am, smash that like button, because we're going to be breaking down every rumor, every report, and every move as we count down to February 5th. The Warriors' championship window is closing fast, and the next 2 weeks will determine whether they get one last shot at glory or fade into mediocrity. Let's see if Dunleavy has one more miracle move left in him.